The premise essentially is gay cat boys. Gay cat boys. So now you may understand why I'm excited to play the game. Okay, just so we're on the same page. Continuing. Konaway woke up, stretched out, and began to groom himself. Then he took his wet bag and coat and hung them up to dry in the light of the day's moon. He put on his clothes, picked up a nut to eat, and went outside to begin his daily routine by inspecting his territory. Oh. Oh, so we get to choose to travel to places. That's cool. On the southwest side of Sissa was the village named Kauru. The male cats here were raised from birth to be strong fighters. But after the arrival of the Void, just surviving took all of their strength. The village seemed silent and dead. There were homes here and there, but it was rare to see cats outside. They kept to themselves. Konaway finished looking over his territory and returned home. By then, the moon of light had already begun to set. It's pretty interesting that they call it a moon. I wonder if that's just the word they're using, or if it actually is a moon, and there's no sun in their solar system. But if there's no sun in their solar system, where's the heat coming from? Because, you need the heat and the light for life to grow. So what's providing it? I have a feeling they'll address this. I'm just bringing it up, not to be picky, but to point it out because I have a feeling it's going to come up later. Anyway. Sissa did not have a sun, just a moon of light and a moon of shadow. Well, they're addressing it now. No one really knew why. And it had been this way since the dawn of the Rabbican race. According to a legend, the sun sank into the sea long ago. Sissa, where the Rabbica lived, was surrounded on all sides by a sea that was colored golden, supposedly colored by the fallen sun. Instead of a sun, they now had two moons, the moon of shadow and the moon of light. From the west, the moon of light rose and shone brightest at noon, while the moon of shadow rose from the east to look over the earth after dark. So it had been passed down from generation to generation. When the sun fell into the sea, the world was shrouded in darkness. The wife of our god divided the moon in two, so that it would always shine down on our world. Cain was said to be the god who shaped this world. It was said that he was named so because he walked on legs like two sticks. He was sometimes also called Solid Leg. Metal Gear Solid Leg Edition. The name of the race? The Rabbica, came from the name of this god's wife, who was said to have the shape of a cat. The Rabbica knew what cats looked like from reading the ancient texts left by the Toucanes. Despite the difference in size, their ears and tails were the same. And so the Rabbica called one another cats. But what Toucane looked like was something long forgotten. Only the name gave the cats a clue as to what he could look like. Konaway headed towards the village with the light of dusk warm on his back. Today, Tokino was supposed to come by. He was a peddler cat from Sissa's largest town, Ranson. About the same age as Konaway, Tokino helped his father with his work. His mother, however, had died shortly after she gave birth to him. Konaway's parents were also deceased. His father, before he was even born, and his mother passed of illness when he was young. Aw, poor kitty cats. He didn't have a close relationship with the other village cats, but that was fine by him. He's a lone kitty. He hated the cats of this village. No one helped anyone else. Everyone only looked out for their own interests. Well, then I can understand why you dislike them. But he could live alone. So far, he didn't need the help of the other cats. And even when faced with death, Konoe didn't think he'd want it. But Tokuno was different. Even when they first met, they got along well, as odd as that was to him. Tokuno was carefree and easygoing, but Konoe was just the opposite. Tokuno always shared stories about Ranson, and Konoe, who never left Kaoru, enjoyed these stories. Wasn't he supposed to arrive soon? Konoe quickened his pace. Oh, hey. Suddenly a voice called out from behind him, straightforward and severe. Oh, well, my voice choice was not very accurate then. Wait, Konoe. It was a familiar voice. Konoe had a bad feeling about it. He tried to ignore it at first, but stopped when he heard a low growl. This would become troublesome. When he looked around, he saw the male cat he'd suspected. It was Sin. Oh. Silhouetted black against the evening moon, the other cat lowered his ears aggressively. We're settling this today. I keep telling you, this is my territory. Territory. Konoe made his disdain for that term quite clear. Sin and Konoe's territories overlapped a bit. Sin and Konoe had fought over territory before. Sure, their territories overlapped, but it was to such a small degree that Konoe considered it trivial. Quarrels like these were not uncommon. Despite the hunger, the cat's fighting spirit remained alive and well. Or maybe it was exactly that hunger that made them so on edge. Sin narrowed his eyes, which gleamed with delight. The need to divert one's mind was disguised as a territorial dispute. It was rather depressing. Come to think of it, he always considered it that way. Besides, Tokuno was probably waiting for him at the village entrance. You just never learn, do you? You say that bit by the road is your terrain? That's fine, but I don't care. If you want that as a part of your territory, then fine, just take it. It doesn't matter to me. So is that it? You've always got your nose stuck in the air. I'm not gonna let up until I beat it out of you. Sin growled from in the depths of his throat. You bastard. Sin threw himself at Konoe. Konoe jumped back quickly and drew his sword. Sin's blade aimed several stabs at Konoe's throat, but Konoe blocked these blows. Oh, wow. Some fancy knife work going on. While parrying Sin's blade with his own, Konoe gathered power at the left side of his body. He then lashed his left hand out to claw at Sin's chest. Ugh. Sharp fingernails tore Sin's clothes and he staggered. This gave Konoe a chance to aim for one of Sin's arms, the one that held the knife. But right at the last second, Sin pulled away and kicked up his leg. Both of them separated, opening up some distance between them. The air between the two of them was scorching hot with tension. Konoe, you bastard. Sin shouted with intense, murderous intent, and the two of them stared each other down, growling. Before he knew it, Konoe's ears folded back, the hair on his body stood on end, and his pupils contracted to needle-like slits. In times of extreme agitation, the pupils of Rebecca narrowed. It was impossible to lie with eyes like that, no matter how much a cat may pretend to be calm. Sin cried out, and charged forward at Konoe again. Konoe bared his fangs and brandished his sword. He dropped down low to avoid an attack, feeling a sharp wind at his cheek. At the same time, he twisted and aimed a kick at Sin's lower body. Sin noticed his movement and began to shift, but Konoe was able to make his heel connect with Sin's side. Sin lost his balance, and Konoe pushed off from the ground, pouncing. He kicked off the trunk of a tree to accelerate further, then pushed off towards Sin. Sin tried to stand up and jump back, but within another instant, Konoe's shadow was over him. Sin was caught, and a cloud of dust kicked up when he fell. Konoe pressed his struggling body down by pushing a knee against his chest, then dug his claws into Sin's shoulder and bared his fangs. In his right hand, Konoe brandished his sword. A frightened look entered Sin's eyes. Konoe stabbed his sword into the ground, right beside Sin's face. Ugh. Sin's eyes opened wide, and his mouth opened and closed voicelessly several times. Konoe brought his face close enough to feel the downy fur of his opponent's ears, and stared into Sin's eyes. And then they kissed. Do you still want to fight me? I get it. You beat me. Please let me go now. I admit defeat, so let me go. That intense aggression of Sin's was gone now. His eyes were open, his pupils dilated wide. Konoe stood up and withdrew his sword from the ground. Sin panicked and stood up, his tail between his legs and his ears low. Konoe began to walk away. He needed to hurry to get to the village entrance. Shit. That's what you get with orphans. Konoe had been walking, but now stopped in his tracks. Those words he heard lit a flame somewhere in his heart. Why did this guy need to bring up trivial shit like this? Konoe turned, pulled out his sword, and threw it. It was stuck in the earth near fallen Sin's feet, and a miserable scream echoed. What the shit? Shut up. Quit talking. You're a nuisance, so just get fucking lost. Sin curled his tail between his legs and fled when he heard Konoe's strong tone. Once he saw that Sin's figure was leaving for sure this time, Konoe walked off with a brisk pace. Tokuno pushed lightly against his shoulder. Konoe affectionately returned the greeting. Tokuno let out a small, pleased purr, but turned inquisitive. Konoe, did something happen?